Hey guys, so I saw that Gina Carano did an interview with Valuetainment. So I'm gonna watch a clip of it because why not? Should be fun to play.
Which tweet was it, or what did you say that got you fired?
I think the final straw was the Holocaust tweet. And
Sorry.
when I had posted it on my, you remember Twitter used to have like, or X used to have the fleet section, which is like the Instagram version of like the stories. Well, I'd put it up there and I put it in my, and I was just kind of like, and
I actually like the fleet. I don't know why they got rid of it.
I like the fleet
yeah,
too.
I don't know why
Bring
they
back
got rid
the
of
fleet,
it. Yeah,
Elon. We like
fleet
the
was
fleet.
great.
No,
So-
fuck you. Stand by your shit. What you say. I hate that. Like I hate whenever I'm like looking up stories to report on, because I don't know. Like usually I like to go to the source. So like I'll you know the Nerdy Movie News Roundup. You can watch it every Saturday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the show. Yes, but like every time I'm like trying to like look into a story, or I shouldn't say every time. Sometimes when I'm trying to like look into a story, and what the fuck was that? Was that a creeper? And it'll be like James Gunn will like post like a post on his Instagram or something, and I try to like go to the original post, and it's just like not there anymore. Fuck that. Okay, I hate these things. If you're gonna post something to social media, fucking post it. Who like what is this nonsense? Anyways, that has nothing to do with anything.
This is the
Zoom in a little bit, Rob.
yeah,
The infamous tweet.
the infamous
Jews
tweet.
were beaten in the streets, not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children, because history is edited. Rob, I don't want an ad, Rob. Gina, because
man.
history is edited.
They're watching us.
Most people today don't realize that to get to the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is this any different from hating someone for their political views?
Like, here's the thing, right? There are smart ways to make your point, and then there are stupid ways to make your point. If Gina had just said, "Hey, I feel like our political climate is kind of aggressive today. Why? I feel like we should be able to get along with people who disagree with each other or whatever." If she had said something to that effect, like, I don't think it would have been that bad. You probably shouldn't compare yourself to Jews before the Holocaust. What? Why would you? In what galaxy in the known universe is that like a smart thing to do? Especially when she just self-admittedly said, "Hey, this was like the last straw," right? Disney is already kind of like like telling me, "Hey, you're being too controversial. Can you like chill out on fucking Twitter?" And then what? Like this is why like do I think that, or should I say, do I think that Gina Carano like should have been fired? Like do I think she needed to be fired? Nah, not really. I don't really care that much, right? Like, but when you're working with like a public corporation like Disney, it's like, yeah, they try to like maintain their they don't want controversy, right? They don't want their actors to be controversial. So it's like, if you're choosing to work with Disney, then yeah, you kind of have to watch at it, not just like what you say, but how you say it. Why would you ever tweet this? It's so stupid. Just don't compare yourself to Jews before the Holocaust. You don't have to do that. What is happening? God damn it. Okay.
So if you just read that first part, yeah, that would be a messed up, thing, right? But when you read the whole thing.
Wait, what was the first one? What was the first part again? Hold on. Jews were beaten in the streets, not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children. I mean, that just sounds like a fact, maybe. I guess that happened. I don't know. Oh, wait. Yeah, because she's saying Jews were beaten in the streets not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Even that's fucking inflammatory. What the fuck? Why would you say this? Why would you ever post this? This is so stupid. What am I don't know how I'm supposed to be made to feel bad for Gina Carano when she's saying this shit. Like, what? Oh, my God. Okay, I'm sorry.
For their political views.
So if you just read that first part, yeah, that would be a messed up, thing, right? But when you read the whole thing, and my interpretation, and what I would like to do is like I'd like to put thought pieces out. I'd constantly put thought pieces out so that people would just get their mind working. And so my question was always like, and I think a lot of people thought this, like, before 2020, I never understood how a population of people could demonize a group of people and allow them to get, taken from right next door and shipped off to a concentration camp, and ashes are falling from the sky. And there's, I just couldn't understand how that could happen. And I've always been so fascinated with the World War II movies. They're some of my favorite. So in this tweet, I thought, this is something where I feel like if we keep demonizing each other, if there's this like demonizing between neighbors, if you keep on doing that towards one another, we're going to end up in a bad place. And that was a simple.
Not the fucking Holocaust. Shut up. What are you talking about? Like, I feel like a lot of these people are just like way too fucking terminally online. I don't know. Because it's like, if I just like go outside and interact in like normal society, if I see somebody with like a MAGA hat or like or like with a BLM shirt, this isn't playing out like the fucking Holocaust thing. Like, I don't know, like at least in my personal experience, obviously I have like a very hyper anecdotal experience in the country. Like this is what we all do, but it's like people aren't going out into the streets and like are like completely unable to interact with one another. I don't know, like what, like, yeah, when you go onto social media and you say and you give like a political take, it's like people that disagree with the take are gonna like be in your comments and call you an idiot. It's like, is it nice? No. Could people maybe be more nice when they voice their disagreements? Obviously. Does it in any way make sense for you to be like, this is like the precursor to the Holocaust? No. I'm sorry. No. Why? Why would you ever do that? Just don't do that. Don't compare yourself to Jews before the Holocaust. Just don't do it.
Well, that's how my mind simply just read it like that. And then I didn't know, I didn't know that like you get canceled if you bring.
Yeah, it's like what. Like, yeah, I was just a retarded baby child, and yeah, I didn't know that I would get canceled by comparing myself to Jews before the Holocaust. I didn't know that was gonna happen. It's like, girl, shut up. I'm probably gonna reiterate this many times in this video because it's weird. Like, I made a video on my main channel about the Gina Carano situation. I literally in the video say, yeah, I personally wouldn't have canceled her because I don't really care that much. I don't personally think that that people should necessarily be like fired over their political opinions. Like, I'm never gonna not buy a movie ticket because somebody says things that I disagree with. Like an actor has like a controversial take. Like, I'm probably never going to not buy a movie ticket because of that, right? But I also understand that Disney, as a public corporation or whatever, that they just don't want controversy. So, like, if Gina's going to be controversial, and they're like, hey, can you not be controversial? And then she continues to be controversial, she's making that active decision. I can't feel sorry for you. You know what I mean? So I don't know, and especially like this thing that she's saying right here, where she's like, yeah, I was just a dumb big baby. I didn't know that people were gonna be mad about me comparing myself to Jews before the Holocaust. How was I supposed to know that? Like, shut up. Shut up. Like, okay, maybe you are that stupid. I still don't care.
Bring up the Holocaust in any way, apparently.
When was this tweet, by the way?
In any way? What are you talking about? What? You don't think if somebody goes out and tweets like the Holocaust sucked, but you think they're gonna get canceled? What the fuck are you talking about? It's obviously the way you did it.
I think it was in September.
September 21.
2021. Or no, 2020. Yeah.
September 2020.
Yeah.
And then how much longer after this were you fired?
I was fired February 2021.
Oh, so that's 5 months later.
And there was a lot of torture
Oh
in
man.
that 5
What happened during that 5 months?
Well, from the beep bop boop, which happened, I think, in August, it was just inflamed. It was inflamed, right? The whole, my whole experience, and
Yeah, that's the other one, right? I think that was the first thing where it's like, I forgot. I mean, maybe they'll explain the context a little bit.
it was inflamed. I was going through this massive struggle session, and yeah, so I just finally they just stopped contacting me around, I think, after December, and I hadn't heard from them, and I was like, well, there's that.
Does your agent contact you and be like, hey, listen, they're not even. I mean, there has to be some type of communication because you were even about to have like
Okay,
a
I guess
spinoff.
they're not. Okay, well, I remember like it was like the I think like I forgot the context, but like I think somebody asked her like what her pronouns were, and she said like beep bop boop or something, right? And it's like, bro, what? You're trying to be controversial. I don't know what what. Because that's the other thing that I want to say as well. Like, it's one of those things where, like, does Disney lean left? Yes, obviously they do. But I feel like more than anything, they just don't want controversy. And I just remember Gina Carano was like consistently putting herself in controversial situations, whether you agree or disagree with her. I personally don't. Like, again, I don't think that she necessarily said anything that I personally would, like, be think that she should be fired or anything, right? Like, she, like, I don't know, she didn't say that, like, murder was okay or something, right? Like, if somebody came out and just, like, openly advocated for murder, it'd be like, okay. Like, yeah, maybe in that case, I might be like, all right, well, that person should probably be fired. Like, she didn't say anything to that degree. But, like, yeah, she just kept on purposefully putting herself in controversial situations, right? Like obviously when she responds with beep bop boop, she's like purposely trying to stoke the flames. So it's just like I don't care if you get burnt, bro. Like what are you talking about?
Of your own show.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so I got a phone call from Jon Favreau. I think it was October or November, and they had told me, he had said, I was like, okay, what kind of conversation is this going to be? And he was like, it's all positive, Gina. It's great. Everything's good. You're going to be great.
Just not on The Mandalorian.
That your life's about to change because I have written the pilot of Rangers of the New Republic, and it was okayed by Disney, and you're on your way.
What a phone call.
And it was like, after all of the awful things that had been happening, I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is insane. This is wonderful. And I'm seeing, everybody's being very emotional. All my male co-stars, all of like everybody's allowed to like say their opinions online. So I stuck to continuing my opinions. But I don't think I ever said anything that was, I think that was like the most intense that it got, which you could see something like that on, the Holocaust Twitter account, like that's like history, so. So he called me and told me that, and I was like, on cloud 9, like, okay, it's happening.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then, so that's good news.
That was wonderful.
October, November, but then what happened February?
February was that tweet.
Oh, you tweeted that September though, right?
Oh, no. Okay, I'm so sorry. I think September's the pronoun, the beep.
Wait, what? I'm getting lost on the timeline here.
Got it. That's February.
Yeah, that February 2021 was that tweet.
So how much longer after that was it instant?
It was the day, I think.
It was the day.
Like within hours.
And is this when they made the announcement where, even I think Bob Iger came out, Gina Carano, Bob Iger comes out and defends the firing, the Mandalorian. We stand for our values. I think Bob said this.
Was that Bob Iger or Bob Chapek?
Could be Chapek. Let me see. It says Bob. Disney. Okay, this is Chapek because Iger's not back yet. Disney CEO defends Gina Carano's firing from the Mandalorian. We stand for values that are universal. Bob Chapek defends the firing, emphasizing the company's commitment to universal values such as respect, decency, integrity, and inclusion. Chapek stated, I don't really see Disney as characterizing itself as left-leaning or right-leaning, highlighting their focus on creating content reflective of the most world's diversity. He continued, yet instead, standing for values. Rob, can you pull up what percentage of the Disney executives give their money to the left or the right? Because that's public information when they say left-leaning and right-leaning, Mr. Chapek, with all due respect.
Yeah.
Yet instead, standing for values that are universal, value for respect, value for decency. Again, going back to the same thing. Carano's termination came after she likened modern-day Republican Holocaust victims in now deleted Instagram post. She wrote,
True. Yeah, that was fucking stupid. That's stupid. What? Bro, don't do that. It's so stupid. Like, she did that. I'm sorry.
what we just read a minute ago.
Which was never posted. It was always in a story, and it was among a bunch of other.
What? What are you trying? What argument is this? It's like, I didn't post it. I mean, I didn't post it, but I didn't post it. What are we? What? It's like, oh, it was in a flutter or whatever. It wasn't like eternal. It's like, baby girl. Spider, no. I'm going on my soy rant. You interrupted me. It's like, what are you talking about? You post something to the internet, it's eternal. What are you talking about?
It was never deleted.
A post. It was a fleet that kind of expires 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Despite similarities in social
was
media
posted.
activity with co-star Pedro Pascal, who shared a post complaining Trump voters to Nazis, Carano was the one let go. So
here's the difference between Gina Carano and Pedro Pascal. Because I remember this happened, right? Pedro Pascal posted things that were like controversial or whatever. You know what Pedro Pascal hasn't done recently? Again, I made a video about the Gina Carano lawsuit. So maybe I've just missed his recent political takes or whatever. But at the very least, he stopped saying things that have become controversial. Like, he stopped being controversial. Do I know for a fact that Disney reprimanded him? No. But it's like, it tracks. That, like, yeah, he said things that weren't controversial. He stopped. So it's like, I don't even, like, it's actually really funny in the lawsuit, Gina Carano tries to throw Pedro Pascal under the bus. But it's like he stopped saying controversial things. Again, none of us know for sure what's going on behind the scenes, but like, I would have to assume that, yeah, Disney came to him and was like, hey, can you not compare Trump supporters to like Hitler or whatever? And yeah, he probably, yeah, you know what, that's reasonable. I'd like to continue being the Mandalorian. Like, there's this when you're a public figure, the companies that you represent are gonna not want you to be controversial. Like, that's just the thing. That's how it's always worked. Like, I'm sorry, but like, Gina Carano, you're not being fucking persecuted.
Versus Kathleen Kennedy. How much of this firing do you think was Chapek? How much of this firing do you think was Kathleen Kennedy?
Oh, that's
By
actually
the way, is this it, Rob? In
an interesting
2020,
question.
2020, right there. So that's the percentage of money they gave to the left versus the right. So if we take,
I mean, I don't care about this. I'm not gonna lie. I don't. Like, you can personally donate to whoever you want to donate to. Like, I don't care.
that, I think it's fair to say,
Weird.
Tom, 80% of the, okay, 7.64 million. What's the other one, Rob?
It's not left leaning.
So
it's
let's actually
fallen
get
on the ground to the
Rob.
left.
Give me the number. 7.6 million plus what? Plus 1.4?
Yes, 1.42.
So 7.4 million divided by 9, 82% of their money goes to the left. So you are left-leaning, Chapek, based on how you give your money. And it's like somebody that, says, I don't discriminate between Starbucks and Coffee Bean, yet 4 out of the 5 coffee you buy at Starbucks. You prefer Starbucks coffee. There's nothing wrong with that. Just be public about it. So who had more power in you getting fired?
He said that the company itself isn't left-leaning. What do you... Like, you can personally donate money, but that doesn't mean that like Disney as a corporation isn't is like is left leaning. Like, that's just silly. That's like saying that would be like saying that that like maybe like the showrunner of Sesame Street donates to the Conservative Party. So that means that Sesame Street is a conservative leaning show? Not necessarily. It depends on how it depends on the contents of the show. Now, if you wanted to analyze the contents of Disney movies, then yeah, Disney is left leaning. But this argument about like, oh well, the CEOs donate money to the Democrats, like, what that has nothing to do with anything.
Chapek, or do you think Chapek got so many calls from Kathleen Kennedy that she's the reason why you got fired?
You know, I think that is something that we're going to find out through Discovery.
Because you're going through that right now.
Yeah, well,
Got it.
I mean, we have to get to the point where we get there right now. But yeah, we're going to find out. My question, I really can't wait to understand this one thing is, and you could probably pull up what they said about me, the comment that they said I was denigrating people off of cultural and religious beliefs and that it was abhorrent. I want to know so badly who okayed that. That had to have been someone at the top that had to have been okayed because that was so damaging. And that quote right there was basically telling the rest of the industry, do not touch this person. She's off limits.
Wow.
Meanwhile, you have in Disney's
So, like,
plethora of actors, you had, you know,
So
people be convicted of something, people's plethora of
her social media posts denigrating people based on their cultural and religious identities are abhorrent and unacceptable. I mean, that's one of those situations where it's like, I mean, you could make the argument that like comparing what Jews went through during the Holocaust to like modern day conservatives getting called dumb on Twitter. I mean, that is probably insulting at the very least to to Jewish people. It's like, bitch, my grandma got fucking gassed in a chamber. Okay, you're getting mean comments. Turn off your phone. Turn off your fucking phone and you're good. My grandma couldn't just get out of the chamber, bitch. Like, I mean, like, is that maybe kind of extreme? Sure, I guess, but it's like, again, I don't think they're gonna get. I know they're trying to like use this quote in court. And listen, I'm not a fucking lawyer, so who the fuck knows? I sure as hell don't. But it's like I don't think this they're gonna get anywhere with this quote. I don't know. We'll see though.
of actors. You had, you know, people be convicted of something, you know, bad, and then they go on an apology tour that Disney, on one of Disney's channels. You know, you've had, you know.
Go
Like
back
who?
to that, Rob. Go back to that, Rob, because I
Like
want to make sure our audience sees this. I
Name
don't know if you
names.
put
What are
it
you
up
talking
or not.
about there?
Lucasfilm statement from her firing stated her social media posts denigrating people based on their cultural and religious identities are abhorrent and unacceptable. Carano seeking damages to be... and this is February 6th, 3 weeks ago we're talking about.
Oh yeah, and I guess if you wanted to say cultural identities, maybe you could maybe do like well that's the thing, right? Like with the whole like beep boop thing, right? Like I don't think she explicitly did it here, but I know before she's kind of gone, well, ooh woo, I didn't mean anything by that. I wasn't trying to be insulting. But it's like shut. Wait. You're trying to mock trans people there. That's fine. Like if you wanted to make that joke, that's fine. But that is what you were doing. So I don't even know that. Like, yeah, I actually don't know that this tweet is even like wrong necessarily. Like, yeah, like is it maybe a little too dramatic? Like, do I think that do I personally think that she did something abhorrent and unacceptable? No. Like when it comes to like the Holocaust shit, I think she's just a moron, to be totally honest with you. Like I don't think she's like trying to be anti-Semitic or whatever. I honestly just think that Gina Carano is just kind of a moron. But it's like, again, like, this is like a valid opinion that like a Disney spokesperson could have. So I don't think they're gonna get anywhere in court when it comes to this quote. But we'll see.
No, they put
I'm not a
that
lawyer.
right out on I
will
think
read it.
February 10th was the date 2020.
One.
Yeah.
When you got fired. Okay.
2021, yeah.
So now you're suing Mandalorian because of the state.
But if you look at that
Well,
statement,
Yeah.
Patrick, to be clear, the Mandalorian is not a person. He is a fictional character. She's not suing the Mandalorian. She's suing Disney, the corporation. I just want to be clear about that.
and then you go through everything that I've ever posted, and you go back through, I've had a Twitter account since 2009. I urge you to go through it. I'm sure they're combing through it right now. Comb through everything and see if that statement fits me. And it doesn't. 1,000%.
What are you talking about? It's like we already went through the posts that it would fit.
It doesn't.
So again, going back to Disney, SHAPEC, we stand by our values. The main one of the four is really the inclusion one, because the other three, you're doing it. It's not like you're not doing it. But the inclusion, okay, you're being, to their definition of what they got, as a left-leaning organization, Disney, based on 80% of their money going to Democrats, which, again, that's their position that they have.
Why are
While
you?
that's
That's such a weird argument. Like, just say that they make progressive content, because they do. Like, I don't know why you're like so like autistically obsessed with being like they give money to Democrats. They give money to Democrats. It's like that has nothing to do with how the company itself like operates.
And they fired you afterwards. How many job offers you got? What call?
Wix is your platform to perform on. A complete portfolio solution means you can tell your unique story with confidence.
Calls you got? What calls stopped coming in? How did it directly impact you financially, lifestyle-wise? How dramatic was that?
I was getting, screeners. I was getting invited to auditions. I was meeting some of like the better directors. I was going to the red carpets. I was, people were sending me stuff. I was just like there, it was just happening for me. And it was so exciting. And on that moment, on February 10th, it just dropped. And the only phone call that came in, the phone call that came in was from Dana White, which
fuck.
I've known him for a long time. And he texted me and he said, "Hey, Ben Shapiro's trying to get a hold of you." And I was in bed just bawling. I was just devastated. And Ben Shapiro's the call that came in.
Ben Shapiro's the call that came
The
in.
only one, yeah.
By the way, do you want to know something crazy? Do you want to know something
You played
crazy?
poker with Ben Shapiro.
No, not at all. Not at all.
But he did not put 25,000
Rob, can you do me
But
a
he is
favor?
Lebanese.
Can you do me a favor?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess I just maybe I'm just like not sensitive enough or whatever. But it's like when I see people dig their own grave like this, I just like your sob story isn't gonna make me feel bad for you. Like I don't know. Like you're not you're not a child. You made the active decision to compare yourself to Jews before the Holocaust. In the heated political climate that we exist under online, you made the decision to mock trans people. You didn't have to do these things. You should have had some amount of self-preservation to know that I don't need to say literally everything that I think on the internet. I can't feel bad. I'm sorry.
Pull this up. Let me tell you what the craziest shit I just found. Can you do me a favor and pull this? Tom, you're going to flip out with this, specifically the way you and I look at business and finances. Pull up what I just sent you right now on the link. This is pretty wild. So the firing happens February of 2021, okay? Do you want to know the craziest data that's going to freaking blow you away? It's so awesome. Let me tell you how awesome this is. Pull this up. Check this out. Do you know when Disney's valuation was the highest ever in the history of its company? Go lower, go to the highest point right there. Look at that. Go back a little bit. Go back a little bit. February 2021 is when Disney was worth the most ever.
Wow.
$341 billion.
Wow.
Compared to where they are today. Go to today's Disney's market cap. This is a little bit older. Go to Disney's okay, right there, $201 billion. They lost $140 billion from the day they fired you.
Wow.
I know that's not funny.
Well, it kind of is.
Is
to
that
me.
not the
That's
craziest
amazing.
thing? You know what the market said? The market said financially.
Wait, are they trying to like say that it's because? Are they trying to say that Disney lost like stock market value because they fired Gina? What? That's so stupid. It might, I don't know. It might have to do with like the streaming crash. It might have to do with like their movies bombing at the box office because they got really bad. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think that there are too many people out there that went, Gina Carano, they fired Gina. I'm done watching Disney movies now. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think that most people in the general movie-going audience care. But who knows? Who knows really at the end of the day?
After their how many busts did they have, Rob? Just in 2023 flops, 5 of them.
Well, yes, 5 that totaled around $100 million in losses.
No.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
$1 billion in losses.
What?
It was $900 million for flops, but the 5
That was
around
all the
$1
money
billion.
that they had to pay Scarlett
the
Johansson.
most Disney was ever worth
Wow.
was right before they fired you. So maybe it wasn't a good decision by Chapek. And when they did fire you, Iger had to come back, okay, because now they're trying to kind of figure out a way to make it work. Tom, do you mind kind of just real quick share a little bit on what's going on with Disney right now financially? I think it's very important now that we just shared this. What's the conditions of Disney right now financially with the reports that just came out?
Well, over a 5-year period, the stock is basically at
Well,
zero.
over a 5-year period, guys, all the investors were like, how dare you fire Gina Carano? We really liked Cara Dune and The Mandalorian. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
So if you bought Disney 5 years ago, you went on a little bit of a run, and you're actually down 5%. So you've lost 5% over 5 years. So that's not too good. That's not 10 years. That's like a near-term horizon. And this week, just the other day, they put.
By the way, you're saying 5 years. FYI, 4 years from February 2020. If we go from February 2021 to today, 3 years. You know what the case is? What's 140 billion on 340 billion? Let's kind of do that, okay?
I like how Gina was like, guys, this isn't all that very funny. I'm not trying to like shit on them too hard. I'm still trying to get a job with them. Can you guys like stop? I just want to point that out as well.
And if you jumped on the ride in the middle of it, it's been a bad experience.
Well, let me do this. By the way, in the last 3 years, Disney has lost 41%. So if you put $1 million in, your $1 million today is what would it be? $590,000 today, 3 years later. That's minus 41. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, to put it in trend, so a 5-year investor is disappointed. A 3-year investor has an axe in at the front door.
Yeah.
It's the way it would go. So Disney's board of directors just puts out a letter.
Also, it should be noted as well that like, I think it was in like 2018 or something, or like 2019, where Disney had like 6 or 7 like billion-dollar movies. It was like something crazy like that. Like Disney went on a fucking historic run. It's like don't get me wrong. Obviously, the movie started sucking. Movies started bombing. TV shows started sucking. Disney Plus was not really all that enticing. It wasn't growing. Obviously, that's most of it. But it should be noted as well that I remember looking at that. I was like, oof. I don't think that they can keep up this pace. Like Disney went on a historic run in like the 2010s.
And every company once a year puts out a letter talking about people, hey, we're going to reelect our board members, standard stuff. The first line of the letter, the board has been laser focused on strategy that will drive shareholder value. In other words, stock price. That's the first thing. Not nice to see you again. Wow, what a year it's been. Sometimes the opening of these letters is a little bit fluffy because there's a little bit of marketing in there. And it says, so we're going to restore our dividend that we declared in July. We're raising the dividend by 50%. So if you own a share of stock, you get a couple bucks from Disney as a dividend to be a shareholder. They're increasing it by 50%. That's called a bribe. Disney says, and we're also buying back $3 billion of shares off the market. Why that? Because fewer shares on the market, supply demand. It means the price should go up a little bit, but it's artificial. It's not being driven by a hit movie or great success. So we're going to do that. And the next thing is, and we promise you, we're reining in cost so that we can cut $7.5 billion of costs by the end of 2024. Is there anything in there about theme parks or movies or entertainment? Nope. That was all of the first two paragraphs.
What? Yeah. Okay. Listen. To be fair, this is definitely out of my area of expertise, I guess. But it's like, do investors do they normally be like, "Hey, investors, are you guys excited for Captain America: Brave New World?" It's like, is that normally how they invest? Is that normally how they open? It's like, I know you're investing in the company, but I also know you're invested in the MCU. Are you guys excited to see where we're gonna take the next storyline? I'm like, isn't it normally, or would it normally not just be like the numbers and like, hey, this is how we're gonna fix problems, blah 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 blah. Is that abnormal? I don't know. I don't actually know the answer to that.
Paragraphs. You get to the back. There's nothing about we're confident in our entertainment business.
Future. So they're not selling the vision.
No, they're not selling.
It's not bright at all.
And then the last paragraph goes to war. Now, remember, there's a couple big investors, the Trion Group with Nelson Peltz and the Blackwells, who are both saying, hey, we really think leadership is the issue because you're an entertainment company and we don't think you're very entertaining. That's an accurate statement. So we'd like to nominate some of our people to be on the board, to be the overseers, to guide the ship. And so they said, please know the Disney Board of Directors does not endorse the Trian Group, specifically Nelson Peltz and Jay Rasulo, or the Blackwell nominees, and believes they are unqualified to serve on our board and preserve value
Double
creation. Double dumb.
Double dumb.
That's what they do. So they do that, and then they provide this little chart. There's a chart on the back. If you're listening on Spotify, you
love
can
charts.
see this. This is a chart. There are 9 squares on the
Rob,
chart.
do you have this or no? Okay, keep going, Tom.
There are 9 squares on the chart, and all of them are financial related to move the
So
stock price.
actually, hold on.
Cash
Sorry,
dividend, 50%, $3 billion stock
trying
buyback.
not to
The
die
things
here.
they said in the letter. You get down to the bottom, and there's one box in the corner of the bottom. We expect to reach profitability in our streaming business Q4 24. And also, by the way, we're going to do a $60 billion.
If I remember correctly, so I remember reading about the activist investors that are like trying to take over Disney. I will just note that I don't think people should necessarily be advocating for that because what was that guy's name? The guy. Do you guys remember who? He was like the guy that Kevin Feige was fighting with in the early days of the MCU. Oh my god. But anyways, he's the guy that Kevin Feige was fighting with in the early days of the MCU before he eventually took control and then that guy went off to make like fucking TV shows like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Cloak and Dagger. Fuck, I don't remember his name. But we all famously hate him because of all the like weird decisions that he would make because he doesn't actually like know anything or care about or about like Marvel and whatnot. Oh my god, I'm forgetting his name. My bad. But yeah, I don't like. I remember reading into this situation and I'm like, yeah, like is Disney doing the best job at the moment? No, but that guy that I'm talking about who's like a part of this investor group, I'm like, I don't want that guy in charge either. So I do just want to point that out.
10-year investment in our theme parks and cruise ships. And we're going to put more decision-making authority with creative teams. That's all they say. But there's nothing in here that we're excited
see
about
that,
the
Tom.
movies. in the front. And they brag about Academy Award nominations, but there's nothing in it about.
Yeah, that's like, what do you... That's actually like a very meaningful statement to make. Because one of the big problems that happened when Bob Chapek came in was that he stripped all authority away from the creatives. Like, he went to Kevin Feige and he was like, okay, we want these many MCU TV shows a year and MCU movies a year. Kevin Feige's like, that's going to be a lot to manage. Don't care, Kevin Feige. My name is Bob Chapek. I'm putting my long schlong down on the table. You're making these movies and shows for me. And they were like, Marvel Studios was like, okay, I guess we got to do it. And then that's how we get like the terrible VFX in She-Hulk, you know?
A box office, nothing in it. At the same moment, this is called funny, the same moment on February 26th. So what do you get as a shareholder there, Pat? You sit there and read this and you go, well, what are you doing about the movies? You've had all these movie flops and losses. You're not...
When they literally just told you, they were like, hey guys, so they literally just, they admitted that, hey, we've been fucking up the movies. We haven't been letting the creatives do what they've been doing for like we haven't been letting them do what they've been doing throughout the 2010s. We're gonna like take a step back and let the creative heads get back in charge to where they used to be. But they just said it. What are you talking about? I mean, well, to be fair, these guys don't care about movies. They don't pay attention to movies. They don't know what's been happening. The investors probably do. So, I mean, yeah, like I can see what they think. I can see how they think that that's not a significant statement to make, but I promise you it is.
Talking about that in your shareholder letter, what the hell?
And I know, like, maybe not in the investors' shareholder letter, but it's like Bob Iger has made public statements of like, hey, our movies have been ass recently. We're gonna get back to making better ones. Don't worry. we're gonna stop pumping out as much quantity of the MCU, and we're gonna focus back on quality. It's like it's not like they haven't said these things.
Well, at the same moment, literally the same day, within an hour, they announce Sean Bailey, who has overseen live-action movies of Disney, is stepping down. He will leave the company. We are This is Wall Street Journal. You've got Sean Bailey stepping down. Wall Street Journal, and it was literally 2 hours after the shareholder. There it is.
Disney head of live-action movie to step. This is not a lightweight guy that's stepping down.
No.
So, fuck. I don't actually know. I don't know if this guy. So, I remember another thing that happened was like, I remember when Bob Chapek came in, was put in charge. He put like he put like a bunch of his own people in positions of power, and I don't remember if it's this person. So this also might just be like one of these situations where this is like a guy from the Chapek era of Disney, but I honestly don't know for sure.
Basically, what they're doing is what they couldn't say in the shareholder letter is that they have a strategy and they've got traction and things are going with movies.
Shit.
They can't say it. So instead, what do? They chop off somebody's head and they throw the bloody body into the street. Sorry to be graphic,
Yeah.
Gina.
No, it happened to me too, so don't worry.
Yeah, she's a fighter, Tom. She can take it.
I got thrown into the street. It's
Yeah,
fine.
Exterior day, bloody executive rolls in street.
yeah. Fade in.
It's a simple, it's a financial scene. So he said Bailey would be succeeded by David Greenbaum, and then they talk about he was at Searchlight Pictures, and we're also going to combine two positions and the newly created role of combined studio group leader. So that's an hour later, and then the Wall Street Journal, who has had enough of this crap, comes out and writes an article on Jay Rasulo. You know, one of the guys.
Is that the one, Tom? That one right there?
Yep.
Okay.
Meet the former.
You can show this to the audience.
So it's in there. Remember, this is one of the guys that they say are unqualified to serve Disney's board. Jay Rasulo worked at Disney. He worked with Michael Eisner. He was part of Eisner's strategic planning team.
He was a former CFO.
He was a former CFO.
Which means he knows all the numbers.
That's exactly right. And he was brought by Eisner from Burbank to lead Parks. He launched Parks over in France, learned to speak French in 2 years so he could speak fluently with the team, crushed the returns, over 2,000% return.
Go back to where you were at,
on
Ron.
Disney Europe. And
Wait, what is that? Jay
I mean,
Russo-
listen, I'm not gonna lie. I don't listen. I mostly just follow like the movies and stuff. So I sort of followed like the firing of Bob Chapek and how, or the firing of, or sorry, the Bob Iger leaving, Bob Chapek coming in, and then the things that Chapek specifically did, and how he kind of like fucked over like the movie division and the creative stuff. I don't know who the fuck all who the fuck a lot of these people are. So it's like, is this guy that they're talking about right here in this instance? I'm not honestly sure.
recalls meeting with a high-ranking Communist Party official on the trip to not to give up. Jay, keep
What?
knocking at the gate. Someday it will open.
When Disney's efforts to build a theme park in China in the late 2000s, Chief Buyer. Oh, okay.
he was
Sorry, I thought that this was gonna be some weird thing where it's like one of the CEOs was like a communist or something.
He also spent time going around the world for Disney to open
Okay.
doors, and he apparently had a dinner with a Communist Party official. Said, "Hey, about being CEO of Disney, keep knocking at the gate. Someday it will open." Now, Eisner retires, and Iger comes in, and Iger says, "Look, I like you as CFO. I don't like you as COO, and that's it. We're done here." He said, "Be my CFO." And Rasulo came back a month later actually, and said, "I'm sorry, I'm not going to do this anymore." So he leaves, and Rasulo, they throw a quote out.
What is even
when
happening
Group-
right now? I feel like if you're Gina Carano and you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go on this podcast to talk about my experience, and then they just like go on some weird tangent talking about like CEOs and CFOs or whatever. It's like, what?
Recruits him to be on the board. They throw out this Disney spokesman, and later it was Iger was. I didn't say that. That is a position of the company. So a little bit of a wimp there. In our view, Jay Rasulo's analog perspective is not relevant to the challenges of today's digital world. So they're trying to make him seem like old school, uninformed. No. It's not like he was making movies in the 60s. This guy is a CFO who knows where the bodies are buried, and he knows how the math adds up. And so,
Ooh, look at this guy.
so
Why is that scary
By the
for
way, Gina,
Disney?
he's killed 9 trees, just letting you know. But go ahead, Tom.
Why should Disney be worried today, Tom?
because
Oh wait,
if
sorry. Am I
Triangle
just like
and their
not following the plot? Is this one of the activist investors now? Is he one of the guys that they're trying to put in? Could be. I don't know.
proxy get on there? Why would Disney inside Disney?
First of all,
be
it's not
worried?
just Nelson Peltz. It's two guys. Both of them are billion. One guy's
And
worth
Black
$4
Bolt.
billion. The other guy's worth $1.5 billion. They got a lot of influence. They're sitting there saying, "What the hell are you doing with this company now? We're losing money. It's not doing the kind of numbers it was doing. You're forgetting who your customers are. Parents that are wanting to take their kids to movies to watch a movie. Kids are not your customers. It's parents. Why are you pissing off parents who don't want to take the kids to movies?" For us, Tom, when we go to movies, you know what's the first thing Tico does? I'll say, "Tico, go look up, what's the app, Fandango. Go see what movies are out." Tico will say, "Dad, it's probably going to be movies that we don't want to take the kids to." Tico's 12 years old when he says something like this, okay? He'll go, and I'm being serious. You've been around Tico to know who he is.
I know.
Yeah, so he'll say, "No, we can't do this." And he'll go look at the score. "No, there's another LG. There's a trans character here. There's a this character here." Even kids are starting to. I just want a regular flip.
What the fuck? This is one of those, and then everyone clapped at the end stories. What the fuck are you talking? What? You're telling me that some like 12-year-old kid is saying, "Oh, I don't know if you want to take us to this, daddy. This has trans people in it." I mean, listen, I'd like to think that most people aren't like super homophobic or whatever phobic. Like, I'd like to think that most people nowadays just don't care. Like, if there was a like two women kissing in the Lightyear movie, like there are actually like good reasons that explain why like movies are bombing, or like why a bunch of Disney movies are bombing nowadays. I think that the primary reason, this is the thing that I feel like not enough people bring up, I think that the primary reason why a lot of movies, specifically Pixar movies, have bombed recently, I think it's probably just because Disney put a bunch of their movies on Disney Plus during the pandemic, and so it's like, yeah, no shit, I'm not gonna watch your fucking movie. It's like, you trained everybody to watch them on Disney Plus. It's like, why am I gonna pay money when it's gonna be on Disney Plus at some point? Like, you train your audience to view Disney Plus as a viable platform to watch your movies. Because that's the other thing as well, is that Disney, more so than the other studios, they have so directly linked their subscription service in terms of branding to like the company itself. Because it's like, when you think of like, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, that's gonna come to Disney Plus because that's a Marvel movie. Marvel is Disney. They've done such a good job of like linking of linking their brands together. Like, so nobody's going, I don't need to watch Barbie in the movie theaters because Barbie is made by Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers owns Max, so Barbie's gonna come to Max. Nobody's making connections like that. It's really, Disney has uniquely, I mean, I guess in some parts it's good because obviously they've done a good job of branding themselves, but yeah, I think I think that we saw over the pandemic and the attempts to put things on streaming services at the same time as in the movies, I think in the long run it's hurt them because now people just know that things are coming to Disney Plus, so they don't have to go see it in the theater. I think that's the first thing that, or I think that's actually like the primary thing that has been fucking them over. The other thing is the movies are just bad, right? Like, Marvel movies have gotten pretty bad. Star Wars movies have gotten pretty bad. So it's like, I don't know. Like, I don't think that most people, I also like, yeah, I don't believe the story about the kid that is like, oh, there are trans people in this one, Daddy, I don't want to see it. I was like, okay, sure, dude. I don't think that most people care about this kind of thing. I don't. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe everybody's a homophobe or whatever. Maybe everybody's super transphobic. Maybe that's true. But I don't necessarily think so.
In movies, stop trying to brainwash me. This isn't working. So at what point will Disney realize this shit's not working? They got to change.
I think they know it right now, and I think they're scared to death that Blackwell or Treon is going to get somebody on the board. That's why they're trying to bribe shareholders.
Good for those guys.
Everything's okay. We're buying back $3 billion of shares.
Yeah.
We're going to give you a bigger dividend. It's okay. It's okay. Stick with us. Stick with us. As soon as those guys are in there, that basically everybody behind the curtain knows it's not working. It's just people are not strong enough to stand up to Kathleen Kennedy and the creatives that want to take a certain creative path. The minute these guys are on the board, all kinds of hell is going to break loose, and a lot of people are going to lose out, and there's going to be massive
Question for both of you guys.
And Iger goes from the ride of a lifetime to writing a turd. You know, it's basically what he's got in terms
So I got a question
of
for you
performance right now.
I got you, Tom. So I got a question for you. So, and this is for you as well, since you're on the inside, you work with them. Who do you think has more influence in Disney? There's this book that John Maxwell wrote. I think it's 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. One of the things he talks about is the law of E.F. Hutton. That back in the days, E.F. Hutton was the guy, he'd be in the room, and the main guy is the main decision maker, but the main guy would always say, hey, E.F. Hutton, what do you think about it? Okay, good. Bones, okay, got it. So, hey, so what do you think about it? So eventually people realize that's the influence. He's going to E.F. Hutton to see what E.F. has to say. But like for Buffett was Charlie Munger, right? For everybody, there's somebody they go and say, what do you think? And that person is a very influential person. Who has got more influence at Disney? Do you think it's Kathleen Kennedy or do you think it's Iger?
What the fucking kind
what
of
I
question
think,
is this?
In my perspective, what happened is I think that these companies are so.
What? Is he trying to say that Kathleen Kennedy has more influence than Bob Iger? He's trying to say that most people he's trying to like suggest that people at Disney actually go to Kathleen Kennedy when they what? What is he?
afraid of making maybe previous mistakes, and so they try to hire younger, maybe people with less life experience, and they want to stay current and up to date and ahead of the times. And so then they start, they've got the assistants, and they flood their companies with people who maybe have never even left the United States and never been somewhere and actually realize how wonderful we really do have it here. And I think that it's a game of telephone, really, that just starts crawling up the ladder. But then I also think, this is Star Wars. These problems have been happening for a long time. You can't take that responsibility away from the leadership, and you can't take that, on the Disney side and the Lucasfilm side. So I don't know how it all works. Is Kathleen Kennedy? She's obviously needs to be held responsible of Lucasfilm because she's been the leader. And then, on the other side, I think they're both responsible.
But who do you think has more? I'm looking at, if you pull up Kathleen Kennedy, the work she's done. By the way, I thought you were saying Kathleen Kennedy's young. I think you were talking about the assistant because
like the people that they hired, I think that they were I think they're just listening, and they're trying to be forward, but they didn't realize or maybe they did realize that, or either way, it's either that way or it's the opposite way. Like they're hiring a bunch of people they can control.
And which makes sense. By the way, just to give her credit on what she's worked on. Ready? This is Kathleen Kennedy.
Wow.
Thinks she's been the executive producer on Gremlins,
Poltergeist,
Back to the Future, The Goonies, Fandango, American Tail, okay? Back to the Future 2, Dad, Tummy Trouble. I don't know what the hell that is. Gremlins 2.
An
What am I
American
doing?
Back to the
Tail.
Future 3, yeah.
Yeah.
An American Tail,
Bunny
crazy.
Pit.
Cape Fear.
Empire of the Sun. Oh my God,
Schindler's
yeah.
List, she was the executive producer on Schindler's List.
Wow.
So she, Jurassic Park, Lost Words, Signs, terrible movie.
Must have been a sign.
I watched it.
When she was discovered, Pat, it was a 24-month period. I went back and I read about her bio. In a 24-month period, she went from E.T. to Indiana Jones to kick off her career as a frontline, top-line producer.
She did Munich, Tom. She did The Color Purple.
That was later, but those 24 months when everybody in Hollywood said, "Who is this woman?" It was E.T. and Indiana Jones in a 24-month period. Talk about box office. Talk about merchandising. Talk about, good grief, Indiana Jones is a permanent ride. There's all these things that happen, and the rest of her career, she proved that was no fluke. So she's a professional in the industry, but that.
Does she have more influence than Bob Iger? That's what I want to know.
Well, I think.
But what? Who? No, I don't think she does. I don't think she does, dude. What are you talking about? Like, well, that's the other thing, right? Because people try to discredit Kathleen Kennedy's career or whatever, and it's like she is objectively a good producer. I believe Steven Spielberg once said that she's the greatest producer of all time or whatever. And it's like, you're never going to be able to take away from her career. Like, that's not, I know people hate her. I know people want to take away from her career. That's just not something that you're ever going to be able to do. Being a producer doesn't mean you're a good studio head. She's obviously not a good studio head. These two things are separate from one another.
I think she probably does now, and that was the point that South Park made in their parody, and all the voices in Hollywood. I mean, Trey Parker has been slightly conservative for a while, and he came out with that South Park evidence, the Panderdome, right? And all the whispers in Hollywood goes, yeah, that's the way it really is. And that's what I was noting, not the fact that there was a parody, but all those voices were like, yeah, that's kind of the way it works there.
What did you think about when you saw with the South Park joining the Panderverse?
Oh, well, I did have a tweet about it.
A long one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, well, this is what's going to happen next. This is what
I never watched it, so I don't have any opinions.
went through, basically. Yeah, I mean, it was kind of refreshing to know that people can see exactly what my experience was, and they're sitting there making fun of it, which I think, humor is positive. It was nice. It was nice I felt a little vindicated.
And Gina, and just going off of what you said, from everything that you've gone through, from the BLM stuff, come to find out, George Soros back, they went broke. It was a scam. They stole all this money. Ridiculous, right? The trend thing, we're seeing more and more that it's.
Listen, I don't know anything about the Jewish conspiracy stuff. Okay, I don't want to comment about that.
Like more of a mental thing. These people are, they have mental issues. A lot of them are doing mass shootings now. So now that's a whole different situation. And then the Disney, you're watching, you leave, they lose $100 billion because that whole thing. Does it kind of feel good inside? Like not necessarily vindication, but it must feel good.
Bro, she's trying to get a job with them again. Stop trying to make her answer this question. What is wrong with you?
That you stuck to your guns and you were right this entire time. Does that feel?
It feels, I feel like I've been in the desert for the last couple years, and that hasn't felt good. But the part that does feel good is I am honest and I am clear and my heart is good and I was coming from a good place, and that was very obvious. And I think that, so many people were watching what happened to me.
Yeah, you were honestly stupid. Like, that's the thing. Like, listen, I don't like I've said this multiple times. I'll say it again. I don't think that she should have been fired. I don't think that she is Hitler. I don't think that she's like a horrible person necessarily. But when you say and do stupid stuff, I'm not going to cry on your behalf. I don't know. I'm just not going to do it. And it's like, you compared yourself to Jews before the Holocaust. That is an objectively stupid thing to do. You can't like rewrite history now and be like, oh, well, now because of things that had fuck all to do with me, their shares are dropping. I'm vindicated now. No, it has nothing to do with you, Gina.
And they say, this is an innocent person here that you're destroying. You're going above and beyond to destroy this person. And I think that's why my case has had such an impact, because it was so obvious. It was just so in your face. So for the last couple of years, it's been a desert, and it's been hard, but it's okay to go through the desert, because then I got an email after I just realized, okay, maybe my life is going to be living in the desert now.
Yeah.
And I got an email from an attorney that said that they were representing X and that they'd like to look through my case. And I was like,
What a great phone call from John Favreau to now a lawyer from X going, I think we have something.
well, they didn't know what I had.
Yeah.
They said, I want to look at what you have. And there's just been such, my life has been riddled with such incredible moments like that. I mean, incredible director Steven Soderbergh picked me up from fighting and gave me an awesome opportunity. Jon Favreau, incredible human being, amazing mentor, and really started finding my stride in acting. Ben Shapiro helped me out, and he just took the sting off of it, right? Like, I didn't take the cancellation away. We tried to really like puff up and say, it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
It's going to be fine. And it was a door open. But as far as me, I'm still very much in the desert. And then here comes Elon Musk. And
which is just like, why? Like, listen, Ben Shapiro really did her dirty with that fucking, was it like Prairie, whatever Western movie? It's like, no offense to Gina Carano. She's not a leading girl. She's not a great actress, right? Like, she needs a good ensemble cast of, like, really talented actors around her. Why are you putting her in a fucking Western movie that nobody's going to give a shit about? It's like, if you're going to use Gina Carano, you have to, first of all, make, like, an action movie, right? You have to make an action movie. She probably shouldn't be the lead. And she has to have a really strong supporting cast of characters next to her. And when it comes to doing the action, she's great. She's obviously from her time at the UFC. She's very convincing, yada, yada, yada. But it's like, I don't know why, like, the Daily Wire was like, yeah, we're going to put her in this drama where she's like on a prairie and her people are like coming for her child or something. It's like, what do you do? This is not the way to rejuvenate her career.
I'm just like, who does this happen to?
Yeah.
I'm just like, there's real men in the world that have opened doors for me that it's just made my life so. For him to do this and X to do this for me it already has lifted this 1,000-pound beast off of my chest, because whether I wanted it or not, I was carrying around the shame of being fired. Nobody wants to be fired. And so I was carrying around, whether I was trying to like put on the brave face, I was carrying around the shame, and it was affecting me physically. It's been affecting me mentally. And then when I got that email, I responded like within 3 hours, and I'm like, I don't care if I seem eager right now. I said,
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
I would love to speak with you. And then I got on the phone with them, and told them what happened, told them my story. They said, could you, send us some stuff? I just sent them everything that I had, and they ended up speaking with X and Elon and explaining the story, and they really believe that we have an awesome.
I'm so
By
happy
the
for
way,
you.
I mean, this
Good
is
for
when
you.
you're telling the story. You know when you're asking a question, do you feel vindicated?
Yeah.
You know what's the thing? Okay, so let's just say you get money, fine, that's one thing. But you know what's annoying? It's like you have such momentum, you're peaking,
know.
and you want to work. Like, what is the purpose of money without me creating something, being part of something? It's so frustrating when you're at your
Yeah.
peak and you're not able to.
Well, the purpose of money is money. To be clear, like money's pretty good.
Create, build. You
I'm
got
at
stuff
my
that's going on
best.
at your best. Like, that is so annoying.
When I'm working, and it always puts my dad in tears. It's the only time I see him in tears, is when I'm working. I am at my best because I'm consistent, and diet's consistent, work is consistent, my health, my mental health, and that's also why I was speaking out about the lockdowns too, because you get a bus driver who's been driving a bus for 30 years and might have an addiction problem, and you're going to shove him at home and stick him with like all this reality of at home, and then he's going to start drinking again, and now we've got alcoholism, now we've got deaths everywhere. So as an artist, I know what it's like to not work, and it's we need to work as humans, and it's really hard to kind of create your own work, which is what I'm doing now, finally. But I mean, it was devastating.
That's the part.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want,
Okay. Yeah. So as far as like all the corporate businessy CEO talk, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, in my personal, humble opinion, that was all just kind of like conjecture nonsense where it's like, I don't know who. I'm not gonna necessarily say that they're necessarily in the wrong there, because none of us really know at the end of the day. But when it comes to like the whole Gina Carano situation overall, it's just like, you said stupid, controversial things, and you insisted on saying stupid and controversial things. I don't think her lawsuit's going anywhere. I know, if I remember correctly, I think she like brings up like freedom of speech or something in the lawsuit. It's like, girl, you have the freedom to say whatever you want, but other people have the freedom to not associate with you. And then if because of them not associating with you, they don't want to give them their dollars, then yeah, that's the free marketplace at work or whatever. But like, then we'll see if like if they win the lawsuit and Gina Carano like gets back on The Mandalorian. Oh, I'm sorry. Are we going to suddenly see like their box office come back? Probably not. Because the movies are still bad. So like, it's just like all the weird conjecture in this, like the presumption that like, oh, well, they fired Gina Carano and then their valuation went down. Interesting. Super curious about that. It's like, what? No, I don't think there's really any correlation here, guys. So, yeah, at the end of the day, I think that Carano, I think that she brought all of this upon herself. I think she made decisions to be controversial as a public figure. Since the dawn of history, since the dawn of mankind, big corporations don't like controversy. So it's really hard, personally, for me to like feel bad for her. So I mean, that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.